Shalom. I'd like to start out by giving all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Urkak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect of Israel. This is the Mayim in Atlanta, and I was just listening to Apostle Ariamab's lesson on Hellenization, and so wanted to take a look at this myself. But he was going into the Hellenization of the Jews and how the Apocrypha is necessary to understand the difference between those Jews and those Gentiles and actual Israelites, because there's two of each. There's two Gentiles, there's two strangers, there's two Greeks, and these things need to be understood to understand the scriptures, because it speaks of the Gentiles receiving salvation and the Greeks receiving salvation, but in other parts it speaks of how salvation is only for the Jews and how salvation is only for Israel. And so there is a difference, because you couldn't just have, that would make the Most High the author of confusion. And really these Christians and whoever else, they're not using the Apocrypha to help them understand. And really they don't want to see it. They don't want salvation to only be for Israel. So they try to ignore this as much as possible. And even going as far as removing the Apocrypha, which is a part of the Bible, which shows also that Esau can't be saved, because it was the Edomites that did this and then pushed this false gospel onto the rest of the world, to where people think they have a shot of salvation. Really them trying to cover up the fact that they're Edomites, that the Lord hates them and he's coming to remove them from power. But all this goes into the controversy of Zion. And so we're going to start here at Isaiah 34 and verse 8. For it is the day of the Lord's vengeance, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai's vengeance, and the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion. Because you have these Edomites pretending to be the Lord's people. And they've done it in multiple facets, with them pretending to be the true Christians, the people of the book, with them making or changing the icons and the images through their iconoclasm or whitewashing, and controlling the narrative of the scriptures, which they've done since the Renaissance. They try to pretend that they're actually the people. And then you have another segment of Edom who are actually claiming to be the Jays, to be the Ish, to be the people of the Lord, the people of his promises. But that's Amalek, which are Edomites. So-called white people and those small hatters are claiming parts of the Lord's heritage, but they have nothing to do with it. The Lord is coming to bring vengeance onto them. And so there's a controversy, because the true people would have lost their heritage and their identity, with the Lord taking that away from them and casting them into bondage under their enemies. You can see this in Jeremiah 17 and 4. And then in the end, the Israelites would awaken, which that's also in the Apocrypha, Baruch. Well, let's actually get that. This is Baruch 2 and 30. For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people, but in the land of their captivities they shall remember themselves. And those people claiming to be the Lord's people, this didn't happen to them, because they claim to have been the people all along. But part of being the people is that you would lose your heritage, and then in the end days stand up on your feet, as in Ezekiel 37, and remember yourselves. It's the valley of the dry bones, coming back to the understanding of who they are. And so there's going to be a controversy. this controversy of Zion, which we were just reading in Isaiah 34 and verse 8. And those people they don't fit these prophecies, but to fit the prophecies, they had the Apocrypha removed, and they put into the doctrine of Christianity all of their confusion. And so they've confused the world. And so at this point, we have a controversy. We have the true people, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as well as our scattered, standing up and claiming to be the true Israelites. And then you have these people that were already in place claiming to be the people as well, but they're anything but. It's part of the prophecies. This is Lamentations 5 and 2. Because during this time where the Israelites' heritage and identity was taken away, another people claimed it. Lamentations 5 and verse 2. Our inheritance is turned to strangers, our houses to aliens. And those are the people that are claiming to be the Lord's people in the land of Israel, or the state of Israel. And truly, they're aliens. They're strangers. They have no position within this. And the world is waking up to see this. And so there is controversy. And so Apostle Ariamlab was going into the Hellenization of the Jews. And so from the AI overview, Hellenization of the Jews, also known as Hellenistic Judaism, refers to the fusion of Jewish religious practices with elements of Greek culture, particularly during the Hellenistic period after Alexander the Great's conquest. And this whole Hellenistic period has been removed from the scriptures. It's within the Apocrypha, but most of Christianity does not read the Apocrypha. They say it's not canon, but in fact it is. It's a part of the kingdoms that would exist before the Lord's return. And so removing that breaks the biblical timeline. And you can see this in Daniel 2 and in Daniel 7, where it shows, or in Daniel 2, it has the statue with the Assyro-Babylonians being the gold head, the Medo-Persians being the chest of silver, the Greeks, or the Hellenistic period, being that skirt. They've completely removed the skirt, the groin area of the statue, the whole middle period. And then the legs are the Romans, which are of iron, and then you have the feet of miry clay and iron, where it's the Roman power coming back, and that's within the feet, and that's currently where we are with this reiteration of Rome that we're in, with the U.S. being the lead, being that whore that rides the beast, and the rest of NATO, EU, being the beast itself. But you have this period, and they have taken it out of the scripts. So when they read things like there's no difference between the Jew nor Greek, they just assume that it's so-called white people that are these Greeks that have a shot of salvation. But in fact, those are Edomites, and they have no shot at salvation. They can't repent. They've done far too much. Stealing someone's heritage and placing it upon themselves, that's unforgivable. And that's the position that Edom finds themselves in this unforgivable position. And they have no shot at salvation. They have to go into captivity for what they've done. And that's just judgment. Since this period saw a significant interaction between Greek and Jewish cultures, influencing various aspects of Jewish life, including language, literature, and philosophical thought. And so the Israelites, through Alexander and through Antiochus Epiphanes, became Hellenized. Not all Israelites, but a good portion did, and they started taking on the language and the customs and the literature and the philosophies and calling themselves Greeks. And Lord willing, we get to some of these words as well, but first, let's go to the book of 1 Maccabees. and see this within the scriptures. So we're going to start down here at 41. Actually, this is up here at the top, 1 Maccabees 1 and 7. Speaks of Alexander coming in, smote Darius, the king of the Persians and Medes, and reigned in his stead the first over Greece. So he became Alexander the Greek. But skipping down to verse 7, it says, So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died, and his servants bare rule everyone in his place. And this is, through his generals, Lysimachus, Cassander, Ptolemy, and Seleucus. They took rule after Alexander died. And it says, And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth, because they are the wicked. And so when the wicked beareth rule, evils increase. 1 Maccabees 1 and verse 41. And so this is the Hellenization of the Jews. It says, Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and this included the Israelites. And every one should leave his laws, so all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. And people understand Hellenization, which happened back in that period. Everybody left off from their own customs and ways and joined in to become Greeks. They followed the Greek fashion. Many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. So they all started celebrating Zeus and Poseidon and all these different Greek gods, and they did as the Greeks did. It says, For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land. And this is something that the Lord forbid of us. Just even the first commandment of the 10 Commandments, thou shalt have no other gods before me. And that's what we did. It's another reason why we went into such a harsh captivity over here in North America, because of this. We were sacrificing unto idols, profaning the Sabbath, and we took on these Greek customs. He says, And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days, and pollute the sanctuary and holy people. And that's what happened by taking on Hellenization. Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrificed swine's flesh and unclean beasts, and took on all the ways of the Greeks, of the Hellenists. And that's what we've been doing all along. We're still in this Hellenization, but now it's called Westernization or Americanization. We've taken on the ways of America and of the West, but it's not to our benefit one bit. We're still in this sunken place, in this not understanding what the Lord wants, and so he's still punishing us. This is still why the 2/3 have to be put down. They also were involved with the killing of Yahushua. They said, let the blood be on us and our children. And so there's still a punishment to be had in the end when the Lord comes back. It says that they should also leave their children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation, to the end they might forget the law and change all the ordinances. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. And throughout 1st and 2nd Maccabees, it speaks of this. They tried to force us to eat swine, and they broke into the temple and changed the images to resemble Edomites instead of actual Israelites. So they painted white people as dark-skinned people, or so-called white people as dark-skinned people back then. And they still do it to this day with so-called white Jesus and having these people set up in the land claiming to be the people. They're still trying to steal our heritage. All goes into the controversy of Zion. But going back to this Hellenization thing, these key aspects of Hellenization of the Jews. After Alexander the Great's conquest, Palestine became part of the Hellenistic kingdoms, leading to the widespread adoption of Greek language, literature, and philosophical ideas among Jews. Jews embrace aspects of Greek culture while maintaining their Jewish identity, resulting in syncretic form of Judaism known as Hellenistic Judaism. And we see within the scriptures where it mentions Greeks and Grecians, the word there will be Hellenist or Hellenista, which goes into Greek-speaking Jews. It says Greek became the dominant language for many Jews, especially in the diaspora, leading to the translation of the Hebrew Bible into Greek. And that's where you have the New Testament. It's through the Greek. So you'll see Strong's G and then whichever number, showing you that it's written in Greek. And this is such a major period to just make disappear. They tried, but we're at the end, and these things are coming out. And this is revealing the wicked, who are the Edomites, so-called white people, and these small hatters that claim to be the Lord's people. It's revealing them, and it's also revealing the true Israelites, because as it says in Hosea, actually, let's get it so I'm not butchering it. Hosea 1, it's at the end of it. 1 and 10, actually 9, then said the Most High, call his name Loami, for ye are not my people, and I will not be your power. So this is when we lost our heritage and our identity. Jeremiah 17 and 4. But he's going to remember us. It says, yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living power. And so they're going to have to admit this, and soon, because they are not the people, and the Lord in the world is starting to understand that they're not the people, and they can't keep this up. So let's get that word Grecia. Oops. Grecians. I brought this up earlier. Okay. And so we're going to take a look at Acts 6 and 1 first. And it says, and in those days, when the number of the disciples was multiplied, there arose a murmuring of the Grecians against the Hebrews, because their widows were neglected in the daily ministration. And so most people just think that the Israelites and the Grecians were living side by side, but these were Israelites that were in a Greek state of mind, basically. And so that word is Strong's G, so showing that it's written in the Greek, 1675, Hellenistes. It says, a Hellenist, one who imitates the manners and customs or the worship of the Greeks and use the Greek tongue. So they're imitating their Greeks. They have these Greekish fashions on top of them. So they were being called Greeks because they weren't being like Israelites, they were being like Greeks. This is used in the New Testament of Jews born in foreign lands and speaking Greek. A Hellenist or Greek-speaking Jew. Grecian. Let's see what else. Hellene, Strong's G 1672. And this goes, it says, by extension, a Greek-speaking person, especially a non-Jew. But when you're seeing it and they're talking about a Greek achieving salvation, these are always Israelites. Let's go back. And so you have these Israelites that are understood to be, or that the world thinks are so-called white people, but these are Israelites that took on these fashions. And this, it has to be understood, because that's how you understand the mystery of the Gentiles. These are just, there's no difference between Jew nor Greek, because they're both Israelites. But then you have these differentiations of Greeks that are spoken of as well within the scriptures, but these are speaking to Idumeans. This is Joel 3 and verse 6. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem, showing showing northern kingdom and southern kingdom, Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans all together, including are scattered. It says, have ye sold unto the Grecians? And this is with Columbus. Columbus came over here, the northern kingdom was here first, and they went into captivity first. And then they went and got the southern kingdom, so-called Negroes, and had them in captivity. That's what this is speaking on. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians. And so here it's calling the Edomites Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border. And this is why World War III is about to happen, because of the captivity of the Israelites. And just showing there's a difference between these Greeks. Even though you go to, let's go to the New Testament. Romans 1 and verse 16. It says, for I am not ashamed of the gospel of Mashiach, for it is the power of the Most High unto salvation to everyone that believeth, to the Jew first, and also to the Greek. These are the same people. These are all Israelites. They just took on Greek fashions. And more. We're going to go to Galatians 3 and 28. There is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither bond nor free, there is neither male nor female, for ye are all one in Mashiach Yahushua. More showing you that these are the same people. These are Israelites. Because there's a judgment for the other Greeks within the scriptures. So let's go to that. I'm going to go to Zechariah 9 and 13. Because if there wasn't a difference, how can Salakia? We're just going to get back to the script. Zechariah 9 and 13. When I bent Judah for me, filled the bow of Ephraim, and raised up thy sons, O Zion, so the Israelites, the Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, both northern and southern kingdom, against thy sons, O Greece, speaking of the Edomites again, and made thee as the sword of a mighty man. And so we're going to link Zechariah 9 and 13 to Amos, because it's still saying the same thing. Amos 9 and 11. In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old. So Amos 9 said that. Going back to Zechariah real quick. 9 and 13. When I bent Judah for me, and filled the bow with Ephraim, and raised up thy sons, O Zion. Bent Judah and filled the bow with Ephraim. That's the same as raising up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, closing up the breaches thereof, because northern and southern kingdom will be together again. and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old for his sons, O Zion. And then coming down here, it says, against thy sons, O Greece. It says that they may possess the remnant of Edom. These are the Greeks. And they have a judgment. And it says, in all the heathen, which are called by my name, saith the Lord, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, that doeth this. This is a complete flipping of everything that has happened. So the oppressor, the Greeks, the Edomites, have been in a position, and it's going to be taken away, their power position, and the Israelites are going to be put there. It says, behold, the days come, saith the Lord Yahweh, that the plowman shall overtake the reaper and the treader of grapes, him that soweth seed, and the mountains shall drop sweet wine, and all the hills shall melt, because the Lord's going to establish his mountain over all of the others. But trying to show that difference, there's two Greeks, there's two Gentiles, there's two strangers. One are heathen that have no position within the scriptures as far as salvation goes, and then the others are Israelites that were in a heathen state of mind, or a Greek state of mind, Gentile state of mind, and can actually receive salvation if they turn back to the Lord and back to his ways, and aren't just heathen still, or in a heathen state of mind. This is 2 Ezra 6 and 9. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So Esau has been able to control the narrative and make people think that they have a shot at salvation, but they have no chance. They can't make it. It's the end of their world, and they have to be judged for the things they've done, particularly having the Israelites in captivity. That's why World War III is about to start. And then they've committed mass blasphemy within the scriptures. For there to be this much confusion, and there actually be a controversy of Zion, and them claiming to be the people of Zion, there's a payment for that as well. They added and they removed from the scriptures. And then their iconoclasm, which is just adding onto it and removing the portion of true Israel. They have to be judged, and that's what happens at the end of their world. And they're being revealed. This controversy is coming to a close because it's really plain. Just read the Apocrypha. You need the Apocrypha. This is within the Apocrypha, and it needs to be understood. These are Edomites that are going around claiming to be so-called white people and claiming to be the Lord's people. They have nothing to do, and they have a judgment that's coming. They don't want to face that judgment, but it's going to happen no matter what. And so, Lord willing, that cleared up some things on Hellenization and the controversy of Zion. There's neither Jew nor Greek because they are the same people. Go back to the same lineage through their fathers. And this goes for our scattered as well. As long as you go back through your father's line, go back to an Israelite. You are an Israelite no matter how you look. You could look Greekish. You could look like one of those small hatters. You could look like a Moabite, a Chinese. But if you go back to Israel, you are an Israelite, and there's no difference between that. And so, Lord willing, that was edifying. I'd like to give all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the great millstone. Shalom to the elect of Israel. Shalom.